Nacht or Untoten. Nacht or Untoten, German for Night of the Dead, was the first ever zombies experience in Call of Duty, releasing as a secret bonus game mode all the way back in World at War in 2009. The map itself would later go on to be remastered and return in various iterations throughout Call of Duty Zombies lifecycle in Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2's Green Run, Black Ops 3's Zombies Chronicles as well as Revelations, and the latest Black Ops Cold War, as well as Call of Duty Mobile. This was the only zombies map to appear in almost every version of Treyarch Zombies besides from Black Ops 4. But why is that? What made it so special? And so what I plan to do with this series is go back and take a look at every Call of Duty Zombies map, starting at the very beginning, all the way back in 2009 with Nacht. This was the birthplace of Call of Duty Zombies. Being 100% honest though, there's not really too much to talk about with Nacht. I should expect, since it was the first ever Zombies map, it was very simple. With these videos I'm going to be focusing on three main topics, that is the storyline, Easter eggs and gameplay. However, all three of these topics for Nacht we can probably get through in a couple of minutes. And the reason for that, as I mentioned, is Zombies originally was only a bonus game mode. There wasn't a story. There were hardly any Easter eggs. The gameplay was very simple. The story. On June the 4th, 1945, in Nazi-occupied Poland, an Allied plane flying over an airfield malfunctions and crashes. The plane ends up hitting some German army trucks that were transporting both the Undead and Element 115 between Group Military 5 facilities, leaving 4 Marines who survived the crash left to hold out against the Undead for as long as they could in the nearby building. And that is Nacht or Untoten's storyline. Very simple. Of course, as I mentioned, it returns later on in Black Ops 1 with the Ultimus crew, and then in Black Ops 2, 3 and Cold War, but since we're focusing on the original map, that was it. We are playing as those 4 surviving Marines. Features. Due to Nacht or Untoten being the first Zombies map, it's relatively simple in comparison to most of the other maps. There are a total of 3 separate rooms, 3 purchasable barriers, it had the least amount of war weapon locations, and a minimal amount of features as well. However, one feature that was exclusive to Nacht was the explosive barrels. You could shoot these, and when they explode, if the zombies were close enough, they could be killed. Besides from this though, Nacht features only 2 utilities, the mystery box and the sniper cabinet. The mystery box we all know about because it's in every Zombies map. It is a staple now, but Nacht was the first map to introduce it, and the other utility was the sniper cabinet, which you might not be too familiar with because it is unique to Nacht, and it allowed you to purchase a scoped Car 98K for 1500 points. Yes, it was a rip-off, it wasn't worth it, but still a cool feature. There was a total of 8 weapons that could be brought off the wall, but one weapon that we all know of now that is a staple in Zombies was the ray gun. It was our first ever wonder weapon and was introduced in our very first Zombies map. Nacht also debuted power-ups. These were drops that you would get from killing zombies that would aid the player when you picked them up. There were 4 we could find on this map, being max ammo, double points, insta-kill, and the nuke. We did also get Carpenter and Death Machine, but those were introduced in later iterations. And finally, for the gameplay side, just expanding on the map itself, as I mentioned, there are 3 different rooms: the starting room, the help room, and the upper floor, which is actually divided into 2 rooms, but it still counts as one because there isn't debris separating it, which by the way all cost the same amount, being 1000 points per room. The starting room has 5 windows where the zombies can breach through, another feature which was first introduced in Nacht or Untoten, rebuildable barriers. From this room you can then go through a door to the right which has the words help written on it, but you will notice the P is unfinished, so it actually reads hell, or instead you could choose to go upstairs by purchasing the sofa barricade. Being that there were no perk machines, it was World at War, so it had a 2-hit down system. You had limited war weapons and also limited weapons you could get from the mystery box, the most powerful one being the ray gun. This map only included 1 wonder weapon, whereas all of the other ones after this have 2, which are the ray gun and something else. And because the rooms were so small, there is a limited space to train. The zombies on World at War could absolutely windmill you, meaning their hits were unpredictable. It is a very difficult map, but this was the origins of Zombies. This is where it all began.
We make a very social game. The multiplayer game is incredibly social and our fans love it, but one part of the game that literally only exists because of our fans is our zombies.
Yeah.
it was a passion project inside the studio that totally should never have, in any sort of like, I probably shouldn't even be here as a studio head because I let this thing happen at a time when the development was strained and the team was, in a difficult place trying to release a historically authentic cinematic World War II game. And then you hear, have you heard they threw a zombie in there? It's a Nazi zombie, right? Everyone likes to kill Nazi zombies. So, it's a fun new game co-op mode. And I'm like, whoa. Like, this hasn't been greenlit. Like, what's going on, you got to try
Did you just sort of start moonlighting on zombies? And you were just like, you know what, I have this idea and I'm just basically going to beg forgiveness? Is that where that came from?
I mean, the studio itself, it was, as Mark was saying, it kind of comes from the guys having a passion to create it and just kind of toying things around and playing with stuff. And then putting it in front of Mark and kind of showing it and saying, okay, the temperature was good. Okay, it's all good. Yeah. And then I think Mark then went on a process of introducing it to our publisher bit by bit.
We actually learned like a really valuable lesson about how to internally market features that were controversial through that process. Because, it was our first co-op experience as a team making a game that was cooperative. And we were just, it was a thing that evolved over time as we were making the campaign game for co-op. Mm-hmm. We just learned and discovered that, hey, the most fun experiences are when you're defending and you're defending together and you're playing these kind of defense missions.
Yeah.
And that just was like, we should just make a mode that is just about defending and having waves of attackers. And that was where it kind of started. And then the zombie portion came in because one of our missions was based on the Peleliu Island where a bunch of airstrikes had come in. So we went to mocap and we motion captured all of these walking wounded soldiers. So they're all kind of like hobbling around and injured. And one of our lead scripters at the time on the campaign, he started to plug that in and say, it's a little bit more fun when there's zombies in there, when they're soldiers. Yeah. And he started to, add some layers to the mechanic, put some, started to put the windows that you could repair and the wall buys.
Yeah.
And as we started to build this game out,
all different departments start climbing in. After they're crunched at night, like the sound team starts putting in, the animation team starts putting in. It was total grassroots.
It just started. People started playing it on the team, and it just started kind of
in the middle of the night.
More people got.
They should have been going home to get sleep. They had me play it, and I was like, "Oh, this is a lot of fun. I'm gonna have to figure it." Now I've got the problem of figuring out how to support the team to get it done. Yeah. So I just did the exact same thing. I literally, wouldn't give it too much of a preamble. I just sit down with people and have them play with me. And isn't this fun? And just get them actually emotionally invested in what it was. But that only goes so far in business because this is as I talked to you about the origins of this thing, this is a authentic, cinematic experience inside of a historical setting. In this case, and World at War was a very intense, brutal, serious, World War II game.
Yeah.
And there's some people who are like, you're not sticking zombies in Call of Duty. I mean, what are you talking about? Have you lost your mind, man?
Yeah.
The thing about it was we made this deal with Activision, who owns Treyarch and is our publisher, that it wouldn't get marketed. We wouldn't market this. It's okay. Mm-hmm. Let us release it as an Easter egg. After everyone's already experienced the, artfully crafted, beautiful Call of Duty game that we've been working on for years, let them experience that game. After the credits roll, we'll have this little surprise at the end. It's a lot of fun. I think people will enjoy it.
Yeah.
So they let us do that. And I think that very decision to actually not, and it's a very un-Call of Duty-like thing in this world to do, if you think about it, not promote it, not market it at all. Mm-hmm. The people who found it, who'd already got what they bargained for, they played their game, and they took it, they owned it, and that very same internet blew it up for us.
Yeah.
They took it, they got to own it.
The fans of your game getting so excited about that it blows up, it becomes its own thing. Their support, their passion leads to...
It becomes a main part of what a Treyarch Call of Duty game, what a Treyarch Black Ops game is.
Yeah.
It takes center stage as part of what Black Ops, when we shipped Black Ops, it had an epic campaign, it had an awesome multiplayer, and it had a zombies that came with it and just became part of what we make when we make our Call of Duty games.
Yeah.
It's a legitimate
its own
pillar
thing.
on the disc, and it kind of, from those humble kind of beginnings, in terms of what's fun, what's engaging, to the point now where it's getting allocations and it's getting resources in the studio, so we're developing it, which are just as long and just as weighty as other things. And you have to, with DLC and digital content and stuff and so forth, consider it like a campaign, consider it like a full story. It
has a 7-year story arc for its characters that we've been going on with this journey that will...
And I think that's something that you'll actually be interested in hearing, is that the story for zombies didn't always exist. There was not this comprehensive and forethought put into what this story was going to be from start to finish.
Yeah.
We had very little fiction around it. I mean, it was the very first iteration of zombies was literally hobbled together from things that we found from other parts of the game.
They were mute characters, right?
Yeah.
They didn't speak.
Yeah.
They didn't have any personality in that sense, right?
But the community started to pick up on little hints of things in the game, and there were some intentional Easter eggs that were put around, but there were also some ones that we didn't actually place that the fans started to have these conspiracy theories around. Just what does that mean? And they would fight with one another about what things meant.
There was one example which was it was a texture that was warped. Just warped at the corner, right? And they found it, they came in on it, and it was like finding a deity on your toast, It was like, oh wow, they're like, they're saying something here, that's like a demon or something, and that's because he's meddling in other powers, and it was just that we warped the texture. But we saw that kind of interest going, and it was like, we should actually do more of this stuff, deliberately,
Easter eggs. There is no main Easter egg in Nacht or Untoten, but there are some side Easter eggs. In the original World at War version, there is one Easter egg in this map, where if you knifed or shot the radio next to the mystery box, it would play music from the World at War soundtrack. So there we go, Nacht or Untoten, our first zombies map. Literally the bare bones of zombies. This is where it all began. No perks, one wonder weapon, 3 rooms, and 4 unknown, unidentified playable characters.